Then he says, "Go to the mountains. Thereafter there will be a greater grief than there has ever been since the beginning of the world, and then will be ever again. If these days were not cut short, no one would survive, but the days will be cut short for the sake of the spirit and of life. This will also be for the sake of the people who serve the truth and the laws. But there will be howling and clattering of teeth when this time is brought about by the people's lack of understanding and by their greed. There will be contract machines of metal for use in the air, on water, and on land, and will bring about metal destruction. For these machines of metals, they will find heavy projectiles across the land and upon the cities. Fire will burst from the projectiles to kindle the deadly fires and destroy land and life. If at the time mighty nations were not to intervene, as once did the celestial sons, bring a halt to the unrestrained madness and conduct of demented dictators, truly I tell you, no human would survive. Since the human population will consist of far more than the 10 times 500 million at the time, great segments of them will be eradicated. This is what the law ordains because people have violated it, and it will continue to violate it into the distant future. People will come forth and say they are Emmanuel and perform miracles, but they are false, and do not fall prey and follow them, since I will certainly not return at that time. I will let them recognize me. This is the destiny, ordain it, and so it shall be. For as lightning flashes and illuminates from start to finish, so will be my coming in the future, when I bring the teachings anew and announce the legion of the celestial sons. At that time I will have a renewed life and will again be accused of deception and blasphemy across the entire world until the teachings of truth will be about insight and change the people. Soon after the misery of that faraway time, sun and moon will lose its luster, comets will fall from the sky, and the powers of the heavens will begin to sway. The makeup of the earth, sky, and air will be disturbed, and the land will burn because of the black oil on earth ignited by people's craving for power. The sky will darken because of the smoke and fire which will rage for 1,000 days, and everything above the burning land and far beyond will be covered in black soup. The weather will break down, and severe cold and much unalive will come over the people. Plants and animals and earth, as a result of senselessness, unleashed forces of the people who live in lust for power, evil, passions, and vices. And these signs will appear in the sky, and all humans will wail and come to see the signs in the clouds of the sky that bear witness to great power and severe judgment against irrationality. Humans owe their existence to God, who is the ruler over them, so they must follow his commandments and respect him as the great King of wisdom. In the days to come, he will send forth his guardian angels, who will sound their trumpets and call together his trusted followers from the four directions, from one end of the earth to the other. Do learn a parable from the fig tree. When its branches put forth leaves, you know that summer is nigh. So that's a lot to unpack. So basically what he's saying, because the people have not abided by the, how much people? 500 million people, and we're at 8 billion, I think, right now, then the earth, the ecosystem, cannot sustain itself. This dome cannot survive, and that's why all these things are happening as a result of this. And the 500 million in this ecosystem that can support, I think this dome was created by God, who had advanced consciousness and advanced technology that he could create this in a heartbeat. He says that he knows the mysteries of creation. So there's lots of stuff that he's able to do that we can't do because our memories are wiped and we don't have that advanced consciousness, even if we have parts of his DNA, because we haven't lived as many lifetimes as God has. So there are people in power who are aware of that and can manipulate the weather and have power and control to make things happen, natural disasters look like natural disasters, and they're all doing it to get this population down to 500 million because they know that the ecosystem can't support itself. So they are aware of what is happening. So it's either God or people in power that are trying to depopulate the world, or it's a combination of both. And when he says that the moon and the sun will cease to exist, so in the book of Enoch, which I haven't read yet, but I've gotten information of other people that have read it, he says that there are 7 levels to heaven. And one is where the zodiacs reside, one is where the planets reside. So the moon and sun ceasing to exist would make sense because it's on a track that goes round and round. And if this earth fails to exist, then and everything starts to perish, then God would get rid of it. So it's either God that decides to make everything disappear, or it's because this ecosystem can't support itself on the lowest level that everything else starts to perish and falls away.